Come, let's talk about it. The things that tried to stop you and tried to block you from walking in your purpose. Welcome to Destiny Blockers Podcast, where we break chains, faith, truth, and walk in a destiny. They tried to stop you, tried to block you, but you're still standing. This is Destiny Blockers Podcast. Real talk, real healing, real freedom.
Yeah! Yes, I'm excited. Welcome to Destiny Blockers Podcast. Come on now. We're back. I'm back. And I got with me my best sister friend for years. We've been friends for over 30 years.
Yep.
What an awesome way to start back Destiny Blockers Podcast with somebody that knows me. We've been friends and rocking it since, oh my God, eighth grade. Reba Hooper Hall. Come on now. Hallelujah. You know what? I try to stay, but I'm just going to be me. And so I'm so glad to have you here, Reba, with me to start back up Destiny Blockers Podcast. We have been through so much.
Yes.
So much together, growing up and raising family, children, and we have stuck together
Yes.
all our lives,
Yes.
And so what an awesome topic today that we're going to be talking about, being the strong one, and what I wouldn't have it no other way with knowing how I know you're a strong woman.
Yes.
And just having to do the things that you've had to do in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So today, that's what we're going to be talking about, because so many times as women, because we wear so many hats. We have a hat for every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Color. We don't know all the shades of colors women wear.
Mm-hmm.
These hats. We're not just women, we're mothers, we're friends, we're daughters, we're aunties, we're partners, we're spouse, we're, we got to be teachers, confidants. There's so many hats that women wear. And being the strong one, it sometimes it's great. It's bittersweet.
Yep, it is bittersweet.
It's great. It's a great thing to be able to do these things and multitask and do those things. But sometimes it's hard.
It is hard.
It's difficult when you have to carry so much. When you're carrying, and it seems like being that strong one, you've carried everybody on your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
For me, just being transparent, I've had to carry. Sometimes I'm carrying myself, and I'm a big girl. So this big girl carrying this weight that I got on me. How about carrying the weight of siblings and sometimes parents and sometimes family members and then having your own children and having your own family and carrying a lot, being a caretaker and building a career,
Mm-hmm.
Being a mother, and not only that, finishing school.
Mm-hmm.
And, navigating that. And now I'm a grandma.
Mm-hmm.
We grandmas. Now we G-moms.
Mm-hmm.
But seriously, I just really want us to talk, and I want to help somebody out there that's listening to us today that you too have been the strong one. And what does that look like? And how have you been able to navigate that? And And first of all, before we really get started with being a strong one, I want to talk about a destiny blocker because this is Destiny Blocker podcast, and the reason why I start when I wrote my book in 2025 last year, I am still learning that I was my biggest destiny blocker.
Me too.
And so now it's when God gave me the word destiny blocker, now the revelation is still, it's like an onion. It's been, I got that one moment to write the book, and now all of these things are starting to layer by layer by layer. And I'm starting to see in this area I was a destiny blocker. This area I was my own destiny blocker. So, what, the hidden cost of always being the strong one. The hidden cost of always being the strong one. Who takes care of the one who takes care of everybody? Who takes care?
No one. Sometimes you have for me, I can only speak for me and my situation. Um, I put a lot of pressure on myself. I've had help, but didn't accept the help because I felt like I'm strong and I can do this all by myself. I've been married for 27 years. We've been together almost 28 years. And even to this day, I still have problems asking or accepting his help. So a lot of times in my situation, I put the pressure on myself to be the strong one because I'm living in survival mode. I'm still living like I'm that 16-year-old young teen mom or that 18-year-old young teen mom.
And what? Hold up! I don't want to cut you off, but let's start from the beginning.
I'll
You
start
know
from the
what I'm
beginning.
saying? Because talk about you first, Reba. Because being that strong woman, and not only y'all did I write a book, but she wrote a book before I wrote a book.
It was a fiction.
And it doesn't matter, but you wrote that
Yeah, I
book, and
did.
she's always been a writer.
Yes.
She's always loved to write. Ever since we were young, that was one of the things that she was. So I was so proud of her when she wrote her book. What's the name of your book again?
Unbalanced love.
Unbalanced love affair, right?
Love affair.
Yes. So, but just tell from the beginning because we didn't just meet by happenstance. No. So, talk about you for a moment, being that strong woman.
Patina and I met at Bradford Middle School.
Yep.
And we have a mutual friend, and that's how we met. We've always, I don't know, we've always been. I never felt judged with you, no matter. And I told you some secrets, girl. But you never judged me. Always, just. I think you lived through me of some of my stories that I had to tell.
You know I
did. So you was ready to hear the hot gossip.
I was ready to hear it, girl.
But I became a mom at the age of 16. Um, I might get emotional because this is basically my first time really publicly talking about this.
Yes.
So
we need to get the tissue.
I had a lot of I carried a lot of embarrassment for many, many years because I became a statistic. I remember going to the doctor in Jacksonville. He was a African American doctor. And I remember the nurse saying, just another statistic. And that stuck with me for years. Wow. She said, I don't think she thought I heard her, but she said, she'll probably have another one in a couple years. And I did. So going back, my story, 16 years old, I got pregnant. I hid my pregnancy for months. I think I told you guys, but my family didn't know until probably 5 months. And I was a little big thing. I was like 100 pounds. So I don't know how I did that. So I completed my 10th grade at Bradford High, and I moved because I was living with my sister, my older sister Jewel, at the time. And then I moved back to Jacksonville with my mom. I gave birth to Natalia at 16. So I quit. I basically dropped out my 11th grade year. I didn't return to school my 11th grade year. Um, I was at, my mom was really having a hard time with me having a baby. She had her own vices that she was dealing with. Um, and I, looking back, I made my situation more than what it was. And I didn't want to be a burden on her because I heard that, oh my God, I'm raising you and you got another baby. I didn't want to be a burden on my mom. So I moved out at 16 and moved to Decatur, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta, with my daughter's father. He was 7 years my senior, so I was 16. He was what, 22, 21, 22. And it was not an ideal situation. There was no physical abuse, but there was definitely emotional and verbal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we I was not ready to live that life. I was a young girl that was thrust into an adult situation, and I had to learn how to navigate.
You had to be the strong
I
one.
had to be strong because, and I cried every single day. But my mother did say, you can always come home. But me being prideful,
Yep.
stubborn, I'm not going back home. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
figure this out. I'm going to make this work. 17 turn around, I got pregnant with my second daughter. So by the time I was 18, I had two children. And I kept hearing statistic. I'm like, I'm not going to be poor. I'm not going to live in housing project.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I was telling myself. I'm not going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to navigate this a different way.
And you see what you just said there, Reba, when you heard the word statistic. It came off negative, but look what it did. Sometimes, a lot of times, and that's what people don't understand with being strong. You can take something like, that Beyonce song, make lemon into lemonades. What she said was something that really hit you.
Mm-hmm.
It hit you both ways.
Mm-hmm.
It hit you to push you, and it hit you and it made you feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
But there was something that she said that resonated with you, that stuck with you, that said, even though I may have had Natalia at 16, and then you had Nate at 17,
Nate at 18.
Nate at 18.
18. Mm-hmm.
Look what happened. You said, I'm not going to be a statistic.
Mm-hmm.
So you turned that thing around and you was like, you know what? Even though she said it and she might have didn't hear me, think that I heard her, but it actually pushed me.
Mm-hmm.
Because in your mind, right then and there, sorry to cut you off, but I just had to say that. You said, oh no, I'm not going to be a statistic.
Mm-hmm. And while living in Atlanta, my daughter's father, he was friends with a couple. And the lady, her name was Kim, and she was a school teacher. So she encouraged me to get my GED. So I studied for my GED with her. I took it in Clarkston. I passed on the first go round. I was so happy
I
that
remember.
I called everybody. I told everybody. And I God placed some beautiful people in my life. My friend Lolitha and my friend Tanya. They were actually from Jacksonville. They had mutual friends of my brother. So it was like I met them. They took me under their wing and they encouraged me. Just because you got these two babies don't mean that
Come on.
you can't do anything. So I started school and stopped school. I started as a trying to go to school with a medical assistant, but I had a baby and was crying. I'll never forget. I caught the train downtown, and she had been crying all night. And I caught the train, fell asleep on the train, and missed my class because I kept riding the train until the lady was like, "Baby, you gonna get off?"
Yeah.
But I was determined. I said, I'm not going to be poor. I'm not going to wind up in the projects. Like, and not to say that there's anything wrong, but that just wasn't what I wanted for my life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the relationship ended with the girl's father. We were just not meant to be. We our journey was to meet and create these beautiful girls and separate. So I went through a stage where my daughters were away from me for 8 months. They lived with their grandmother for 8 months, and I asked her. I said, "Give me 8 months." I had never lived on my own. I had went from my mom's house to his house, and I didn't know how to take care of myself. I didn't know how to pay bills. I didn't know how to do any of that. So I asked her. I said, "Can the girls live with you for 6 8 months?" They lived with her for 8 months. So I told her, I promised my daughters, I said, "Well, when y'all come back," and they were little, they were like 3 and 5. I said, "When y'all come back, mommy's gonna have her own place."
Come
I
on.
said, "I'm gonna have my own car, I'm gonna have a job, y'all gonna have your own room." And I did. In those 8 months, I think that's when the depression started. Because I lost my mom at 20. I I couldn't come back home. I'm like, I I don't have anywhere to go. I could have went and stayed with my sisters, but I
Right.
didn't want to do that. So I think that's when depression set in because I was trying to figure out. I was 21 years old trying to figure out a life. 21 years old with 2 kids trying to figure out life. But when they came back, I had my own apartment. I had my own car. I had a place for us to stay, and I had my first full time job with benefits at
Mm-hmm.
Quest Diagnostic. I work in purchasing. I was assistant purchaser, and I just only knew how to be strong
Right.
because I was raised by a strong mom. My sister Jewel is the strongest one I think I
Your
know.
sister Jewel.
She is like she's my she's like my mom. She's like a
Yeah.
second mom to me, but she's like the strongest person I ever knew. And I saw her work hard and raise her kids and take me in
And take
and
me in.
take Tina in and your sister
Yes.
Shanda as well. And it's just like she was a teen mom too.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm going to break the cycle. My daughters are not going to they're not going to walk my walk. And that's where my strength came from because I wanted to be a better person, not only for myself, but for my daughters because they were watching me.
Mm-hmm.
I was young, dating, and I said, I'm not having men in and out of my life. At 24, I met my husband. Things move fast. We move fast. Within 7 months of meeting each other, we were married, and we've been married for the last 27 years. Ups and downs,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been a great journey with him.
Now look at what you just said about all that you had to go through, and you remembered something negative, but it actually pushed you, right?
It
Then
did.
you're looking at all of the things that you had to go through and saying, "Well, okay, I'm gonna let my girls go here, and I'm gonna go back, and I'm gonna do this thing." You knew that you couldn't go back to mom, because unfortunately your mom passed.
Passed away.
You had Jewel, who has been like your mother, because I know I stayed over there to the house all the
All the
time.
time.
And but look at that. And I asked that question, the strong one. Who cares for you? Who takes care of you when you have had to be the strong one? Because these are things that you had to do
Mm-hmm.
in order to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were saying, I'm not going to be a statistic. I don't want to live in the projects, so I'm not going to go there. So I know within myself, I got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to go back. I want to go forward. So in that process, you're having to lean on you and God.
And God.
And that's it. And so it's like, so now that I'm in this quiet place, or I'm in this moment where I maybe can relax and ask for help, oh my God. I don't know how to ask for help because when the time when I needed help, I knew I couldn't go that way.
Mm-hmm.
So being the strong one, it became a part of you.
Yeah. It's just like I gotta figure this out. I gotta figure this out. I mean, I had my mom's sister, my aunt. She's passed away, but I had my aunt, my sister Helen. I know she got tired of me calling her crying, crying, and her praying for me and my girlfriends. I had a great support system, but I wanted to do this for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I put a lot of pressure on myself because I walked around with this stigma.
Mm-hmm.
that I was a high school dropout. I was a teen mom. That's how I looked at. That's how I viewed myself for years. I viewed myself as a high school dropout and a teen mom, even though I was so much more than that. But I carried that load, and I just wanted to be a better person for my girls. And when I had them, I vowed I ain't having no more kids until I get married. And I didn't.
And you did.
Because my youngest daughter there's a 10-year gap between her and my son.
Miles, yeah.
So I vowed, I'm like, I am not going to be a baby mama. I'm not having no more kids. When I get married, I'll have children. And
we were pregnant together, weren't we? Around there?
Around the same time. And I'm like, well, Philip, yeah, we were pregnant.
Philip.
And it's just, I had people to rely on, but I didn't want to burden them. I didn't want to be a burden on anybody. So I didn't ask for help a lot of times because I didn't want to be a burden on anybody. I didn't want to say, oh, she always calling me. I didn't want them to say, oh, my sisters help me with my girls. They watch my girls and stuff. But I just didn't want to be a burden. I'm the youngest of 5.
Yeah.
And I'm that baby, and they still look at me as a baby. And I just wanted to prove that I'm not a baby. I'm an adult. I can take care of myself. So a lot of that pressure I put on myself. Unnecessarily.
Yeah.
But I did.
And that's the thing about, there's a pressure that we put on ourselves, because it's like being the strong one, the blessing, it's a blessing.
It's a blessing
because look what happened. Having to be strong, it motivated you. Being pushed out there, it's that saying, it's out, you're gonna sink or swim. At this point, you was gonna swim because you said to yourself, I'm gonna make this. I have 2 kids now, and I got to take care of them. So you decided to swim. And then it's a burden, because now you don't want to be a burden, but then you take on a burden because you feel like you got to do it. And so then it's difficult then for you to ask for help because you've had to be so strong. So now, how do I do that? Then does that make me look weak? Because remember, you in your mind, you're having in your mindset that the statistics, I'm a still so now you got the negative thoughts, and that's what I talk about a lot in therapy, about the cognitive thinking errors and their cognitive distortions that happen so many times because of the trauma, because of the things that we've had to go through. Instead of them saying, you know what, I'm turning this lemon into lemonade, we still have those cognitive distortions about ourselves, that we cannot see the good things that we have done. We cannot see the great things that we have accomplished. There was one of them that I talk about where I think it's one of the distortions where 50 people can say to you that you look so beautiful. I love your outfit. I love how beautiful you look in that outfit. And you can have 50 people to come up and tell you how beautiful you are and everything. And then that one person or 2 people can come and say, girl, that outfit, that's too tight on you. Girl, I don't like that color. And when they come and they say that to you, you will filter out the positives and talk about, in your mind, you will let that play, the 2 people that said something negative. And that's what resonates with us. It's like, instead of us looking at the things that God has told us, that we're wonderful and we're created and wonderfully created, we will think about all of the negative things that have been said of, or our failures. And it doesn't have to be. That's why I said I was my biggest destiny blocker. It really wasn't the people. Nobody can make you do something that you don't already. When somebody says something to you negative, the only reason why you cry is because you believe it.
Exactly.
That's the only reason why you cry.
It took a long time for me to realize that, because I would allow the words of others to affect me to the point that, like you said, I would cry. And you saying that now, it's like, Wow, yeah. I believed those words
Mm-hmm.
versus what I believed about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember one time I got in an argument with someone and they called me uneducated. And that hurt me because, again, I went back to high school dropout,
Yep.
teenage, and that hurt me to the core. But I'm like, I'm not uneducated. Why did I let, I thought about that years ago. I'm like, why did I let that person, but we were going at it and just, hitting below the belt.
Yeah.
And they knew that was a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they said to me. And I'm like, I'm not uneducated. Why did I let that heifer? Why did I let that heifer
Come on,
get up
say
under
it. How
get
you
up under
say
my skin?
it?
But I looked, and me again. I looked at everything for a while, for a long time. I looked at my glass as being, uh, was it
Half empty.
half empty instead of half full, and I allowed my failures to keep me in bondage. Basically,
That's
that was a
it.
destiny blocker.
Yep.
I was my destiny blocker
Yep.
for years, for years. And I started holding in a lot of things, holding in trauma. I can honestly say I didn't have a terrible life. I didn't have a bad life. I had things that happened to me that affected me, but I didn't have a bad life. And but I held on to those bad things. It's like I kept a running tab of all the bad
Yep.
things that happened to me and all the things that people did to me that was bad. I did.
I know. I
Oh,
did
you
it
said
too.
what in the ninth grade? And English said you said okay. I wrote your name down, and I held
I'm keeping receipts.
and I went to and I held that stuff in, and in 2012, 11, I started having panic attacks. You remember?
Yeah, I
I
remember.
started having panic attacks and I started and that it was from holding things in, trying to be strong. And I'll never forget. I was having them at work too.
Mm-hmm.
And I met an older lady, her name was Miss Carolyn. And she was an older lady and she came and sat at the table with me and she brought me a card and she said, how you doing? I said, fine. She said, no, you're not fine, baby.
She saw
She
it.
slid that card. She said, I met her at a conference at church. She said, you need to give her a call. So I called her like a couple days later. I saw her. I was like, a therapist. I don't know therapist. So I called her. She was a black lady, and I called her. She was able to get me in like maybe a couple weeks later. And when I walked in that door, and that lady saw me, and she held her arms out, and I let it all release.
Mm.
She prayed with me because she was a Christian counselor. She got me. She said, "What's your job number? What's your HR number?" She said, "I'm getting ready to take you out. You're gonna do some FMLA."
Come on.
She said, "And you gonna figure out you." She said, "Cause you're burdened down." She said, "You trying to carry the world, and you don't even have to." She called my job, faxed over the paperwork. She told me, "Don't even go back to work. You go
Yes.
home."
Yes.
And I went home, and I was out of work for 9 weeks. And I said, well, what am I supposed to do? And for the 9 weeks, she said, well, you're going to come see me 2 weeks, 2 times a week. She said, and you're going to live.
Wow.
She said, every day do something different.
Wow.
The first week I slept, but I did something different every week. And that's when I started writing my first book, when I was out on FMLA, because I had an emotional breakdown. I was just like, just any little thing somebody said to me, I was irritated.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when depression started setting in because I was like trying to wear this. I was wearing a mask. I wasn't
Yeah.
trying to wear a mask. I was wearing a mask that I was okay. And it wasn't anything, people was like, well, are you happy in your marriage? It had nothing to do with my marriage.
Mm-mm.
It was me and all the weight that I've carried over the years.
Being the strong one.
Being the strong one. And it had taken its toll on me.
Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, when you just said that, that just hit me. And being the strong one, the blessing, the burden, and then the breaking point. Because let me tell y'all that are listening today, you that are out there that have been the strong one in your family, that have had to carry everything, just like myself and Reba. Um, And there is gonna come a time, if you haven't already had it, that's the breaking point. And now let me tell you, I done had several breaking points.
That was just the first one.
Being the strong one, I've had several breaking points. And after writing my book, my before writing my book, that second marriage, that was the awakening and my breaking point to recognize that I was looking for love and I wanted this unconditional love because I didn't love myself and I didn't see that God gave me everything that I needed, that he loved me unconditionally. So that was a big breaking point for me where I just like, oh my God, I've been searching for this that I always had. And I didn't recognize it, so that was that one. And now my other breaking point was recently this year. And running the ministry, doing, having a startup ministry, and and feeling like I had to do everything. How much I work, Reba. So not only am I working as a licensed coordinator for UF Department of Psychiatry, I work in the psychiatric hospital, and I'm an intake counselor there. So, and also I'm a mother, a single mother, with two sons and now a grandbaby, and I love my family. You know how much I love my family, and you know how much I love the Lord. And so I'm juggling running a household that I have to take care of everything, running a church where, God, we started in 2023. I'm the pastor, and now I feel like because we are startup ministry, some people might not want to sing. They can sing, but they're just not there yet. So I feel like, okay, well, I'm going to have to sing. And then I got to be the one to open up. I got to be the one to come and open up the doors. Not only am I getting off of work, I'm working sometimes 16, 17 hours and 60 hours a week because I go from one job to the next. And here I am. I was trying to get a refinance on my home. I'm transparent. I tell it all. And because of the president and where we are with the student loans, and I have several, because they were on hold and I couldn't change my plan, I'm thinking I'm going to get this great, wonderful, wonderful interest rate. And so my mortgage lender and everything, we're on the phone, we're chatting this morning. Now, mind you, I've just gotten off from work. I'm getting ready to go to work. I have work because I work the 5:30 to 1. And sometimes, so I get off of the 8 to 5, go to the 5:30 to 1 a.m. And then I get up, I sleep a little bit, and I go to work back at 10 or 11 at the 8 to 5 job. And then I'll go back in the evenings and work. Okay? I was just off of that, and that morning, I text my mortgage person. He texted me back and said, we're not going to be able to do it. Being the strong one. Because I'm like, what am I going to do? I have this to take care of. I have children. I have a grandchild now. I have the ministry. I have my job. And I'm not doing no just regular counseling. I'm doing counseling with people in their first episode of psychosis. That means that they're in a crisis state of mind all the time. So not only do I have my cell phone, I have a work cell phone where they have access to me. And so I might end up having to put them back into the hospital. So they're coming in and they're dealing with hearing voices, seeing things, wanting to kill themselves. And you got to be on it. And not only do I have to be that, I got to be prepared to minister.
Mm-hmm.
And then dealing with some personal issues in my own home. And when that man told me that we're not going to be able to do it,
I just did.
that was my breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to give up. I wanted to throw in the towel. I was like, and then people have issues with women preaching. Do you think that I would do this?
Yeah, I had a breaking point yesterday.
And
Just yesterday, my job. I've been a medical coder for 4 years. This is my fourth year. I've been with this company for almost 2 years. And there are things that I don't like about the company. I mean, every job is going to be something.
mm-hmm.
But this job has been stressful the entire time. I was furloughed last year for 2 months. Um, they had a major layoff. Thank God I wasn't a part of that layoff. But I had a family crisis that happened over within the last
A real
a
crisis.
really bad crisis. So my mentally I haven't been there for the last month.
Mm-hmm.
So my productivity hasn't been my quality hasn't been the best. And I was told, and they know my situation,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been telling them, keeping them abreast. But yesterday we had a meeting, and it just set me off.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I will not be stressed about nobody's job.
Mm-hmm.
I had my moment. I cried and talked to my husband, and I said, I'm not gonna be stressed about no job.
Mm-hmm.
Not at 51 years old. I'm not gonna be
Mm-mm.
stressed about a job. I'm not doing it. When I just lost my niece
Mm-hmm.
4 weeks ago, tomorrow will be
Yes.
4 weeks. I'm not gonna be stressed about a job.
Mm-mm.
And I realized months ago, well, years ago, I learned in therapy that being strong is knowing your limits
There you go.
and asking for assistance when you need it. So I went to
Yes.
my husband and I said, baby, I may need to quit this job if they keep stressing me out. I'm gonna need your help to back me up on my bills until I can find another one.
Yeah.
Which I didn't have to say that to
Right.
him, but I just wanted
You
to let
had
him
the
know.
conversation.
I'm like, we'll figure this out. But
Yeah.
but for my mental health, I'm not going to allow a job to stress me out to where I'm crying and I can't work, especially when I'm still grieving. I got things that I want to do, things that's going on in my household, trying to assist my children in getting their lives together. That's one thing I'm not gonna
Mm-mm.
sacrifice my mental health towards a job.
And
And I
you,
went back and I realized I'm strong, but I know my limits.
yes. And that day was the breaking point that I recognized. And I had to go. I called the evangelist, I called the prophet. My sister called me at that moment that I was having it. She was at work and she just said, "Let me call you." She called me and I just cried
Mm-hmm.
on the phone. And then that's when she told me, and she just listened. And that at that moment, that's what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
I just needed someone to listen to me. And then I called another prophetess and she said, "I've been saw that you needed a break and that you needed to go somewhere and take a break."
Mm-hmm.
And do you know that's what I did? We didn't have church. I went to the beach because that is my place of tranquility.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a time with God.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came back, we had a meeting at the church because I didn't want it to be in my emotions. And I said, I can't run a church by myself.
Mm-mm.
And it wasn't that the people wasn't there for me. It was me.
Yep.
It was me that I was feeling like I had to do it all because I've been the strong one.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, being strong, you got to know your limitations.
Mm-hmm.
And since that time, we have come together. My son done stepped up. You saw how quick I called him, and he came up here and said, "Okay, I know he didn't want to come, but he came."
Mm-hmm.
We have different times that we do things here. Even in the home, things are better. My job really was stressful because I love my job. This is what I know I was born to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm seeing how the benefit of it. But what I have done is I've cut back.
Yes.
So now instead of me working all of those hours, I only work once a week on the PRN job.
Mm-hmm.
And I know God is gonna take care of me because He always do.
Always do.
I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor seed begging bread. And so when we have those breaking points, I believe it's God saying, you've been carrying this all alone and you ain't never reached out for help.
Mm-hmm.
To say, you know what? I'm here. Utilize the people that I have placed in your life. Utilize the people that have been placed in your life as a support, that know who you are, that love you. And when I did that, it didn't say I wasn't strong. It actually made me stronger.
Yes.
It actually made me stronger. Have you ever noticed that when you're the strong one, people assume you're okay?
Oh.
They assume you don't need help.
Yep.
The encouragement, support, or even a phone call because you always handle everything.
And I'm the friend that's going to send the text or call you and say, hey, you on my mind. You all right?
Yes.
When I walked in here and I saw you, I said, you then what I asked you?
First thing you asked was, you okay?
And I've always been like that. I've been the one that reach out because I know how it feels sometimes when you don't want to burden people with your problem. Well, you feel like you will burden people with your problems. But I always want to, are you all right? You need anything? Sometimes, like you say, you needed your sister to just listen.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't want to hear all the jibber jabber. You just want somebody to listen, and you need a good cry and release.
Yes.
I learned a long time ago that crying is good for the soul.
It is.
People growing up, I was made to think, because I cried a lot. I was a crier.
Me too.
People made me
Still is.
People made me think that I was weak because I cried. So I would hold it back and not cry when I really wanted to cry. But I have to release it some kind of way. Because if not, it'll just sit there and it'll just bubble up and it'll become anxiety and I can't function. So a good cry, I get one a good once or twice a month just to release. Just to release. And it's okay, audience.
Yes.
It's okay to cry. It's okay. And sometimes it's okay to not be okay.
Yes.
Sometimes you got to sit in what you're feeling for a moment. Don't linger there long. Don't fester there. But you got to sit in what you're feeling and just say, okay, I got to figure this out. I don't have to figure it out today, but I got to figure it out. And just allow yourself to feel what you're feeling and go through the emotions. And then tomorrow, okay, let's work on a plan.
Exactly. And that is so key what you're saying. I've learned in this growing, this layer by layer, I've learned that I had a conditional responsibility response to things. And so my nervous system has been so hyper vigilant. That's where the anxiety comes from and the nervousness and all of that feeling like you got to do it. And because of the conditional responsibility. Conditional responsibility is something where you've always had to be this person for your family, for everything. You've had to do it because of disappointments and failures and different things of that nature in your family. Me being the oldest of 5, having to be mama sometimes and all of that, having to be there for them and carry the load. Most everybody has come and lived at my house. My house is the go-to house, and I'm okay with that. But it's a conditional responsibility by your conditions. So my conditions were such that caused me to have this responsibility. So what happens when your conditions are not that anymore? That's not my situation now when I was 19 or 20 or when I had to be that. That's been gone.
Yep.
But what happened is I still developed that personality. Yep. And so because now that's become a part of who I am, I respond to conditions. And being a crisis clinician for so many years, going into people's homes, you're automatically hyped. What fire I need to put out? People coming to me with their problems. In counseling, now I'm learning, no, I'm not your fixer.
Yep.
I'm just going to give you what you're saying. I'm reflecting back to you many times. And I'm allowing you to see yourself. Now you're going to tell me what you see.
Yep.
Now what caused you to do that? What happened in your childhood that caused you to think that way? Now, do you see some patterns and cycles that you're seeing off of what you're saying? Any other time, I will be trying to, because I can already see what your problem is. So, because I can see what your problem is, now I'm trying to help you get there.
Yeah.
And trying to fix it. But how does that really help the person?
Being a fixer.
Being a fixer.
And I can relate to being a fixer because as a mother of 2 daughters, I did not want them to experience what I experienced as a teen mom, being in a relationship that wasn't healthy. I didn't want that for them. But that's what I didn't want. It's what they wanted for themselves that I had to understand. These are adults. And I had to learn how to parent my adult daughters differently than I did as my younger daughters. We have a great relationship, but I try to fix them. Sometimes they'll call me just to vent. I'm trying to come up with a solution. Well, we can do this and we can do that. And my youngest daughter was like, Mom, sometimes we just want to just vent. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But I'm the fixer. I've been the fixer. So I know I want to fix. I want to make sure my son is okay. I want to make sure my daughter's okay. I want to make sure I want to make sure everybody around me is okay. But sometimes I'm not okay because I'm too busy worried about everybody else being okay.
Come on. And then that hypervigilance, turns into the anxiety because your nervous system is saying it's so used to that. So I learned when I stopped doing that, I started feeling weird.
Yes.
I was like, when I started slowing things down, and I said, wait, you don't have to do that. You don't have to fix this. You don't have to do nothing.
That's the weirdest feeling.
Oh my God.
I had a reflection earlier this year because I'm
hard.
Like, I was in school last year and I took a break from school because I was stressed. I was stressed.
Yes.
I was getting on everybody's nerves in the house. But now I'm not in school. It was just me and my husband because our son had recently moved out. I didn't know what to do with myself because I was like on an even keel. I wasn't having the anxiety.
Yes.
It felt so weird for so long. I was always so high strung that now here I am. I'm like in my soft era and I don't have to be the savior to the kids. I don't have to be super mom. And I'm like, this is the weirdest feeling. What do I do with myself? How do I navigate this? I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But it's a weird feeling.
Yes.
It's a weird feeling.
And because I have been on go for so much of my life, all of my life at 51, about to be 52 this year, I was like, when those moments come and I have to tell myself, slow down. And I think about it when I recognize that I'm not doing nothing. When someone calls me now and tell me their situation, I'm like, okay, let's pray. And when I get off the phone and I recognize that I didn't fix it, I went to the one who can fix it because I'm not. And so many times I have been getting the bullets. I've been taking on the bullets that was meant for them to have to get it and be able to help them. And it is so easy to do now. I don't think my sons know that's not what I'm trying to do when I'm just trying to tell them something. Because they've been so used to mama, you trying to fix it. You know what I'm saying? But now I just want to get out that so that you can see now what this is so you can handle it. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm trying to stay in my lane.
Oh, yeah.
Now I'm trying to stay in my lane as a mother. And some things Daniel and Philip are just going to have to go through.
Yeah.
And mama's just not going to be able to do it. Yeah. And now I want them to get it in terms of looking at, there's going to be a time, and that was my message on Sunday, What happens if I'm not here?
Mm-hmm.
If I was to die today, you know, what would happen to them?
Yep.
I want to know that if I were to go today, they know they can make it.
Yeah.
Now, I know they can make it,
Yeah.
but I know they lean on me.
Yeah.
But I want them to get to a place in their life, and I know it's coming, where they don't need
Mm-hmm.
to call mama.
Yep. Because I lost my mother at 20. And I think about how she handled me. She was preparing me. Because I thought losing my mom, I was
Yeah.
going to lose my mind and I wasn't going to be able to take care of my girls. It motivated me because I'm like, I don't have anybody to lean on. I can't. I got to do this, and I want the same with my kids, my children. If I left here today or tomorrow, will you be able to take care of yourself? Yeah, you'll grieve me,
Yeah.
but will you be able to take care of yourself? And I think they will.
Yeah.
Now I do. I
Yeah.
think they do. But for a long time, I felt like they couldn't. Like, oh, they need me. No, them kids don't need you. You need them. You making yourself need them, but they don't really need you like that.
Yeah. And I know the things that I have instilled in them. Yeah, they're gonna miss me.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's what I want them to get, there were things that we had to do because we were pushed out in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we try to hold on to them because, like you said, you didn't want your kids to have to go through that. I didn't want Daniel to feel like he had to be Philip's dad.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Philip looked up to him because he was the only male figure that he had and he did everything, but that's okay. But I didn't want Daniel to feel like I had to be that.
Mm-hmm.
Or, because mama's not here. I wanted them to live a life to where I made the sacrifices so they can become everything. And now they will tell you, mama didn't give us any excuses. If we don't become what we wanted to become, it's not because mama and God didn't give us the opportunity.
Exactly.
It's because we didn't take advantage of it.
Exactly.
So they don't have an excuse. So if that comes to it, but now it's like I can rest in that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and so now when I do that, it's foreign.
It is very foreign.
It's very foreign, but I'm liking it though.
Yeah.
And I just sit in it for a moment. And then guess what? It go away.
Yep. Yep.
But
Yep.
I'm gonna tell you now, it's peace.
Oh, yes.
It's so much peace. And being that strong, people get used to us being that.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens, I find that a lot of times people will call on you because they know you're going to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that you're going to, and that's another thing moving towards, getting ready to close out. But that's another thing that I find when you become the strong one, people expect, there's an expectation there.
Yep.
And so people will call on you and because you will be like the first one to say, oh, I know Tina gonna just put everything aside to just go head on and help me. So I'm gonna call her. So and that's the way it was with my grandmother. Let me tell you something. My grandmother was so strong in our whole family. And it was like when I called grandma and grandma say, she pray and grandma say, it's already done and everything is good. Honey, you could take it to the bank like you take the word.
Hello.
When grandma say everything gonna be good, even though nothing had changed, but because grandma said it was gonna be good, you just relax.
Yeah, she was
And
gonna make it
so,
happen.
and that's what I see now, that I have become that person for so many. And that's not me. That was me being a little G.
Yep.
And then therefore I became that little God for everybody because I didn't know no better. My son Philip told me years ago, he said, Mama, God leaves the 99 for the one. You can't leave the 99 for the one.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what I was doing? Every time somebody called, people get used to your strength.
Yes.
People get used to you being the strong one. And you have to understand what you need to understand for yourself.
Exactly.
To say no. That word no is powerful.
Yes, it is.
Learning boundaries is powerful.
And saying no and not having to give an explanation.
Come on. Oh my
That was
God,
my
that's
hardest
good.
thing of
Yes.
saying no. I would say, well, no, I can't because.
Mm.
And I have a good friend, and she told me years ago, she said, you don't have to tell people why you don't want to do something.
Yes.
Just say no.
I was good at that
But
reason.
having an explanation is a trauma response.
It is a trauma response. And that's what I'm catching myself. There was something that happened. And I was like with my Facebook friend, right? Friends. And I was like, they were tied to my past. And therefore I was looking at when I got ready to post something that they were connected to my past about, I would double take whether or not I would post it because I didn't want to offend them or I didn't want to make them feel bad. Mm-hmm. So I would not post certain things on my page because I was like, even though I done moved on, but I didn't want to hurt them, even though I moved on. Mm-hmm. And so I wrestled with that, feeling like I would have to give an explanation. And so I wrestled with not doing it. But then the other week, it just literally happened. And I was like, you know what? The Holy Spirit just said, block them. And it's not that you're blocking them because you don't love them or that you wish something bad or nothing that they've done. They didn't do anything to you, but you've moved on. Yeah. And you don't have to be tied to people where you've moved on.
Exactly.
And so when I did that, immediately I felt the relief. And so when I was going to the funeral, I said, what if I see him?
So?
But I'm telling you, the trauma response, feeling like you have to explain things. Mm-hmm. And guess what? They were in the line. And so I waved and I spoke, and they didn't really wave back. And so I thought to myself, oh, Lord, maybe I need to tell them, or maybe they know. I don't know. In my mind, these are the things that I was thinking. And then, you know what? While I was at the funeral in there, I was like, I'm here to grieve and to be a support. Yeah. And immediately, they had the same opportunity that you had.
Exactly.
To speak. And you don't owe them anything but to love them.
Exactly.
And that's all we owe people is but to love them.
Yep.
And so you don't have to have people in your space. You don't have to have, because what I recognized was every time I seen their name, every time I seen something, it reminded me of the trauma. Mm-hmm. So I said, so I'm going to continue to go through trauma just because I don't want to offend somebody? That old Tina is gone.
Exactly.
It's gone, Reba. It's gone.
And I'm glad.
Thank you. It's gone. And so when I did that, even when I saw them, do you know it left? And I didn't even think about it anymore because I got freedom worrying about what people think.
And as people pleasers, we're both, as people pleasers, we do wrestle with that, with thinking about everybody else's feelings versus our feelings. And that's a great thing to release that and say, you know what? I'm thinking about me. For once in a life, my life, I'm being selfish.
Yes.
Hey, whatever, you can say what you want to say, but I have never been selfish.
Yes.
But once I'm being selfish. I'm thinking about me. I'm putting me first.
And it's not even being selfish. It's just called self-care.
Self-care.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just choosing me. There's a song by China Styles. Mm-hmm. And I gave that to one of my clients. And she said she been playing that song. Mm-hmm. I choose me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, when I listened to that song and I kept on saying, I choose me, I'm choosing me. And do you know that scripture that it says the first commandment, love God with your whole heart, mind, and soul. And liken unto the first, love thy neighbor as thyself. Being the strong one, I didn't love me.
Yep.
And you know what? I would cook for people and just say, because you know how much I love to cook, I would give that person a steak dinner and I'll eat a pork chop sandwich or a chicken sandwich. That's not me loving myself first as my it says, and liken to the first, love thy neighbor as thy. So I should, if I can't afford a steak dinner for me, I'm not going to give it to you.
No. No.
That's me self. That's choosing myself. That's having self-care. So if I got enough money to buy me a steak dinner, $100 steak dinner, then that must mean I got enough money to buy you a steak dinner.
And a lot of times we have a definition of what strong is, and it's really not.
It's not
the definition of being strong.
It's not.
And then we look at suffering that our elders or our parents may have been through and say, "Oh, they were strong." Not necessarily. You don't know. I mean, I look at things different.
Yeah.
I look at things different. And I had a conversation with a girlfriend of mine that lives in Ohio, a real good friend of mine. And I said, I don't want to be the strong woman. I don't want to be a strong. Listen, I don't want to be a strong black woman. That's not my ministry. Being a strong black woman.
Yes,
I don't want to be a strong
I
black
love
woman.
it.
I want to be in my soft era. My husband and I are at a point in our lives that we don't have to worry about kids. We can travel. We're in a different economic situation. We can just get up and we can do things that we want to do that we weren't able to do when the kids were younger. I don't like to cook. I don't cook.
Yeah.
Someone said, "So what do your husband eat?" He eat what we pick up.
Love it.
I'm changing and I'm evolving and I'm growing.
Yes.
At 51, I'm finally just living.
Yes.
And I don't want to be strong.
Yeah.
Not if I don't have to.
And really, it's when we're weak is when we're strong, the way God says us to be. And to me, it's just being who God called me to be. That other person was trauma. That other person was me surviving. That's really what that was. It was a survival response to things in my life. It was what I felt like I had to do to survive. To be able to be there for my family. And now that we're getting this revelation and this insight and this knowledge, we're really we've been strong all along. We just didn't know how to be strong.
How to be strong.
Now we can be that and be happy and be free.
Yeah. Being strong means knowing your limitations.
Yes.
And setting boundaries.
Yes.
For others.
Yes.
I don't have to be at your beck and call. When you call me, I ain't got to answer. If I don't want to. And it's not me being funny. It's just I might not want to talk to nobody.
And that is okay.
And it's okay.
I will call you back.
I've learned boundaries and limitations.
Yes.
It's strength.
Yes. That really is. And if you really, love is a boundary.
Love is a boundary.
Because the thing about it is, love, when you go to, not to bring in all scriptures and stuff, but love, when it says, love keeps no record of wrong. Why does love say keeps no record of wrong? That's a boundary. Because you know what? I'm going to love you, but now I understand who you are. So this is what I'm going to do. Now I have a boundary. I'm still going to love you, but now I have a boundary with you. So that's what that's a great love. Being strong is knowing your limitations and having boundaries. Because now I know what I can and I cannot do. If this thing, like that said with the blocking people, if it takes me to a place that I don't want to go no more, that's my boundary. I have to block you.
Yep.
Because I don't want to be sitting up here thinking about something that I done release. You bring that back for me. And I love you, but I want to see you.
Yep. And also being strong is knowing if I've wronged someone, I can apologize. And
Yes.
I can admit that I made a mistake, or I can admit that I did something wrong. You have to self reflect. There's a lot of people that don't self reflect,
Mm-hmm.
that don't look in that mirror because they're afraid.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And being a part of being having strength is pulling back them layers and say, you know what, I could have handled that differently, or I could
Yes.
have did this differently.
Yes. And that is so true. And I guess as we get older, we look at the experiences that we've gone through. We look at the trauma that we've gone through. And I always say now grow through.
Yeah, grow
It's
through,
not gone through, it's what we've grown through.
grown through.
Because, each round has taught us a lesson.
Yes,
And it's taught us a lesson. Now, the key is learning the lesson.
learning the lesson.
The key is, and that's why we see so many people, Reba, go through cycles and patterns, because they didn't learn the lesson.
Yep.
And so, because they didn't learn the lesson, they still stuck.
Yep.
I don't want to be stuck.
No.
I want all that God has got for me. And in just the closing thought, and this that I thought was powerful, is that the strongest thing you may ever do is to admit that you're tired.
Yep.
Not because you're weak, but because you're human.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
It's okay. It's okay to be tired.
And that's what I recognized when I had this last breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
I cried when I got to that hotel, and I did nothing for a moment. And just part of me just slept.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognized I was tired. I was tired of being that.
Yep.
And God had to allow it. He had to allow it, Reba, so that I can see myself and what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
It is so easy as humans for us to blame and blame. Blame a mama, blame a daddy, blame a sister, blame a brother. Blame all of the things negative and all of the bad things that have happened to you. I had a great conversation with my mother the other day, and I cried. And my mother said that she had listened to the thing that I put out on Facebook about I just want to talk about me. And she said, Tina, I just recognize my daughter has been suffering in silence. And I want to just let you know anything that I did to cause. I'm sorry.
That's great.
And I told my mama, I said, Mama, thank you.
That's all you ever wanted to hear.
But even in that, when she said that moment was big. But I had to tell my mama back to her, Mama, this is what I needed to get.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I needed to learn. It's what I needed to know for me. Not that what you and daddy did, and y'all did y'all best. Y'all did y'all absolute best of all that you could do.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm talking about now is for my growth
Mm-hmm.
of what I had to get.
Mm-hmm.
And that now I see that I wasn't strong at all. I needed to be more weak in terms of saying I was tired.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Saying that it hurt. Saying that I'm exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to say that.
It's liberating. It's free.
It was freedom.
Freedom.
It was so much freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And And perhaps the greatest destiny blocker for many strong people is believing they must carry alone what God intended to be carried together. In all of our talking, we realized that you needed Troy.
I did. I do.
And when you recognize that your husband of 28 years was right there, when you recognize that you didn't have to be it no more,
Mm-mm.
and you actually gave in to yourself
Mm-hmm.
and went to your husband and said, I need you.
Yep. That's something I rarely do. And he'll tell you that.
And I need you. In that moment when I came to the church and when I came to my sons and my sons recognized it. And yeah, it's been so freeing. So, this is my closing reflection. Today, I want to ask the strong ones, who checks on you? Who asks how you're really doing? And if nobody has asked lately, let me ask you now, how are you doing? So you're going to have to say, you know what? If you've been like myself and Reba, you got to ask yourself, how
Yep.
are you doing?
How am I doing?
How am I doing with this?
And write things down and write it out and write a letter to yourself. Do whatever
Yes.
you got to do.
Whatever gives you peace,
Peace.
whatever allow you, check your nervous system.
Oh, yes.
Check your nervous system. Let that be, if your temperature is rising because you heard something, that's a trigger.
Yes.
That's called a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So see what caused that trigger. Don't just keep going on because you done pissed me off or you done made me mad.
Mm-mm.
Check your temperature. See why you're getting angry. See why you're crying. See why. And then learn how to calm down. And please stop making impulsive decisions.
Oh,
Stop making impulsive decisions.
that's the worst.
Because every time you do that, you make it worse.
Yes.
Slow down. The question alone will connect with a lot of people because there are many listeners out here today who are exhausted,
Mm-hmm.
who have been exhausted, like myself and Reba, from being everyone's rock while quietly wishing someone would ask if they need support too. So it is time to look at yourself and say, am I being my biggest destiny blocker? Am I being so strong that I'm not letting nobody in?
Hello.
Am I being the one that is keeping me from actually living the life that God has for you?
Exactly.
It all starts within.
Exactly. It does.
It all starts within. So I thank you, Reva. This has been fun.
It
I love
has.
it.
I know. I was so nervous. I was nervous, but I'm like, it's just like sitting here talking to my friend. Like we had lunch Saturday, last
Yes,
Saturday, and
yes.
just sitting there talking.
And having such an awesome time. And we as women need to do this more.
Mm-hmm.
Just sit down and have a gathering together. And we're having something next week. If you are out there, if you're in the area at Speedville Community Park, in Keystone area, at 11 o'clock for women, maybe this touched you today and you want to come and talk about it, or you need prayer. Let us stop thinking that, oh, this person is envious of me or jealous of me, or I'm surely not that way. I know
No.
Reba's surely not that way. I want to see, because I'm getting free, I want to help other people get free.
Yes.
I don't want to keep the freedom to myself.
Yes. Yes.
I want to help other people to get free. So, I thank Reba so much. I love you so much.
love
I
you too,
thank
Tina.
God for you, a constant, a consistent, and I thank God I wouldn't have it any other way. I love you so
I
much.
love you too,
And
Tina.
thank you all for listening and joining in with us. Thank you for coming, and I hope, like, share, talk with somebody. Go get counseling. I'm
Mm-mm.
telling you, it not just because I'm a licensed mental health counselor.
I'm in therapy.
Hey, I will call my therapist in a minute. Let me
Yes.
tell you. Go get counseling. There is nothing wrong with counseling. Let me tell you, counseling saved my life. Let me say
Mine
that.
too.
It helped me. And so reach out. You can go to Psychology Today. Psychology Today, they will link you with someone in your area. You can do telehealth. There's so many ways that you can get counseling today. So please go check out counseling, Psychology Today, because they can link you with, and you can look at the profiles and see whoever fits you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just thank God for this platform. I just thank God for everybody. And so, yeah, go to Facebook, go to YouTube. We also have a Destiny Blocker YouTube channel that Brandon is going to get together and put this on there. So we're just excited, and thank you. We'll be coming on once a month for now, until we're able to do other things. So God bless, and we'll see you next month.
Bye.
Bye.
Come, let's talk about it. The things that try to stop you and try to block you from walking in your purpose. Welcome to Destiny Blockers Podcast, where we break chains, fake truth, and walk in a destiny. They tried to stop you, tried to block you, but you're still standing. This is Destiny Blockers Podcast, real talk.